Have you ever woken up feeling unusually tired even after what seemed like a full night of sleep? Have you noticed mornings when your mind feels slower, your energy feels lower, or your appetite seems stronger than usual? Most people assume these changes are simply part of getting older. But what if there is something happening during the night that deserves a closer look? And what if the cause begins long before your head ever touches the pillow? Many adults over 60 pay close attention to what they eat throughout the day, yet very few stop to consider how certain evening habits may continue influencing the body for hours after they fall asleep. The surprising part is that these routines often feel completely normal. In fact, they may be so common that most people never question them at all. That is exactly why they can be so easy to overlook. Some people wake up feeling foggy without understanding why. Others notice unusual hunger in the morning or feel like their sleep was never truly restorative. At first glance, these experiences may seem unrelated, but researchers and health professionals have become increasingly interested in patterns that appear during the overnight hours. And if these patterns are more common than most people realize, why do so many people experience the same morning symptoms without connecting them to the night before? Maybe you've had mornings when getting out of bed felt harder than it should. You slept for what seemed like enough hours, yet your body felt heavy before the day had even begun. Your mind needed extra time to feel fully awake, and you quietly wondered why rest no longer felt as refreshing as it once did. The strange part is that millions of older adults describe the exact same experience. Perhaps you've also noticed moments of unusual thirst during the night. You wake up and reach for a glass of water without thinking much about it. Then you drift back to sleep and forget about it by morning. Or maybe your sleep feels fragmented, even when you cannot remember fully waking up. Something seems to interrupt the quality of your rest. But because it happens gradually, it rarely feels important enough to question. For others, the first sign appears shortly after waking. Breakfast suddenly feels more urgent than it used to. Certain foods become harder to resist early in the day. Energy levels seem unpredictable from one morning to the next. Some days feel productive and clear. Other days feel clouded by a fatigue that appears without an obvious explanation. What makes these experiences so easy to dismiss is how common they are. Many people assume they are simply consequences of getting older. Friends talk about them, family members talk about them. Even healthcare conversations sometimes focus more on managing symptoms than noticing patterns. As a result, people stop asking whether there might be a deeper reason behind what they are experiencing. Yet when these nighttime and morning experiences are viewed together, something interesting begins to emerge. The tiredness may not be completely separate from the thirst. The cravings may not be completely separate from the restless sleep. The sluggish mornings may not be isolated events occurring by chance. Instead, they may represent small pieces of a much larger picture. And what if these common experiences are actually part of a larger pattern many people never notice? One of the reasons these patterns are so difficult to recognize is that the signs often appear quietly. They rarely arrive all at once. They tend to show up as small inconveniences that seem easy to explain away. A restless night here, a sluggish morning there, an unexpected craving that feels completely unrelated to everything else. Many people notice that they wake up more often during the night than they used to. Sometimes they fully remember these awakenings, sometimes they do not. They simply wake up the next morning feeling as though their sleep was lighter or less restorative. The feeling can be subtle enough to ignore, yet it often repeats itself more frequently than people realize. Another commonly overlooked signal is morning grogginess that lingers longer than expected. This is not the normal process of waking up. It's the sensation that the brain is taking extra time to fully engage with the day. Simple tasks may feel slightly more demanding. Mental sharpness may seem delayed. Many people attribute this entirely to age without looking any deeper. Nighttime thirst can also become part of the picture. Some individuals find themselves reaching for water during the night more often than before. Others wake up unusually hungry in the morning, despite eating dinner the night before.
Neither experience automatically means something is wrong, but when these signals appear together, they become harder to dismiss as isolated coincidences. That raises an important question many people never think to ask. The real mystery is not any single symptom by itself. The real mystery is why these experiences frequently seem to travel together. Why would disrupted sleep appear alongside morning fatigue? Why would thirst, hunger, and mental sluggishness sometimes emerge in the same people? Could there be a connection hidden beneath the surface that most individuals never notice? For years, many people have assumed these signs only matter when symptoms become severe, but that assumption may be incomplete. One of the most common beliefs people carry about health is the idea that serious problems appear suddenly. They imagine a clear dividing line between feeling fine and feeling unwell. As a result, subtle changes are often ignored because they don't seem important enough to matter. If a symptom is not dramatic, many people assume it can be safely dismissed. But the body does not always communicate in dramatic ways. Sometimes its earliest messages are also its quietest. Think about how often small changes are explained away. A little more fatigue is blamed on age, a restless night is blamed on stress, morning brain fog is blamed on poor sleep, extra thirst is blamed on the weather. Each explanation may seem reasonable when viewed on its own. The problem is that isolated explanations can hide larger patterns. What if the real value is not found in any single symptom? What if the value comes from noticing when several small signals begin appearing together? This shifts the focus away from reacting after something becomes obvious. Instead, it encourages paying attention before problems have a chance to become more noticeable. Awareness begins where assumptions end, and that simple shift can completely change the way people view their own health. The goal is not fear. The goal is not self-diagnosis, and it's certainly not jumping to conclusions. The goal is learning to observe what the body may be communicating through everyday experiences. When people stop viewing symptoms as isolated events, they often start seeing connections they never noticed before. That perspective can be surprisingly empowering.
Perhaps the most interesting discovery is that the body often leaves clues long before people recognize their significance. The signals may seem unrelated at first glance. They may appear at different times and in different ways, yet they continue showing up often enough to deserve attention. When viewed together, they start forming a picture that was previously hidden. And surprisingly, several of these signals may point toward a common explanation hiding beneath the surface. At this point, it may be tempting to view each symptom as a separate issue. A restless night seems like a sleep problem. Morning fatigue seems like an energy problem. Brain fog appears to be a focus problem. And unusual hunger feels like a completely different concern altogether. But what if these experiences are not as disconnected as they appear? One of the most overlooked realities of health is that the body functions as an interconnected system. Changes in one area often influence several others. That means a signal appearing during the night may also affect how a person feels the next morning. The connection is not always obvious. In fact, it is often hidden beneath everyday routines and habits. That is why the pattern can remain invisible for years. When people begin looking at the bigger picture, certain observations start standing out. The nights with poorer sleep may sometimes be followed by mornings with less energy. Periods of increased thirst may occasionally appear alongside unusual hunger. Mental sharpness may seem stronger on some mornings and weaker on others. While none of these experiences automatically indicate a specific problem, they can suggest that the body is responding to something occurring behind the scenes. The important detail is not the symptom itself, but the pattern it creates. This perspective changes the question entirely. Instead of asking, "Why am I tired today?" the question becomes, "What else was happening around the same time?" Instead of focusing on isolated moments, attention shifts toward recurring combinations of experiences. That broader view often reveals connections that were impossible to see before. And once those connections become visible, a new level of understanding begins to emerge. The fascinating part is that many of these signals may share a common thread, not because they are identical, not because they guarantee anything serious, but because they may reflect how the body is responding during the overnight hours when most people are asleep and unaware. The challenge is learning how to recognize those responses before they are overlooked or forgotten. This is where a simple framework can help people notice what their body may be trying to communicate. So, how can someone make sense of signals that seem small, inconsistent, or easy to dismiss? One helpful approach is not to focus on finding immediate answers. Instead, it begins with learning how to observe what the body may be communicating over time, not through fear, not through self-diagnosis, but through a simple process of awareness and support. The first step is notice. This means paying attention to recurring patterns rather than isolated events. A single restless night may not mean very much. A single morning of fatigue may simply be part of life. But when similar experiences begin appearing repeatedly, they can provide useful information. The goal is to become curious about patterns instead of reacting to individual symptoms. The second step is support. Once patterns become visible, the focus shifts toward habits that work with the body's natural rhythms. This is not about extreme changes or complicated routines. Often, the most valuable support comes from simple daily choices. Small adjustments can help create an environment that encourages healthier overnight recovery. The key is working with the body rather than constantly fighting against it. The third step is stay consistent. Many people expect immediate answers after only a day or two of paying attention, but the body rarely reveals meaningful patterns that quickly. Consistency allows observations to become clearer over time. It helps separate occasional events from recurring trends, and it creates a much more reliable picture of what may actually be happening. What makes this approach powerful is its simplicity. It is not a treatment, it is not a diagnosis. It is a framework for noticing and supporting early before important signals are overlooked. When people become more aware of recurring patterns, many experiences that once felt random begin to feel more understandable. And once you begin noticing these patterns, the body's responses can start making more sense. One reason these patterns become easier to understand is that the body never truly stops working while we sleep. Even though we may be unconscious of it, countless processes continue throughout the night. The body regulates energy, it supports recovery, it balances complex metabolic activities, and it constantly adapts to the conditions created during the hours before bedtime. Many people think of sleep as a passive state. In reality, it's one of the most active periods for restoration and regulation. During these overnight hours, the body is responding to signals from earlier in the day and evening. That response can influence how refreshed a person feels the next morning. It can affect mental clarity, and it can shape overall energy levels in ways that are not always immediately obvious. This helps explain why 2 mornings can feel completely different even when the amount of sleep appears similar. One morning may begin with clear thinking and steady energy. Another may start with fatigue, sluggishness, or unusual hunger. The difference is not always about the number of hours spent in bed. Sometimes it involves how the body responded throughout the night. That possibility creates a new way of looking at experiences that once seemed random. For many people, this realization brings a sense of relief. Instead of feeling confused by changing energy levels, they begin to understand that the body may be responding to underlying patterns. What feels unpredictable on the surface may actually follow a logical process beneath it. That doesn't mean every tired morning has the same explanation, but it does mean there may be reasons behind the experiences people often dismiss, and reasons can be explored, observed, and better understood. The encouraging part is awareness creates opportunity.
The more consistently someone notices patterns, the easier it becomes to understand how evening behaviors and overnight responses may be connected. Small observations can gradually reveal valuable insights. Experiences that once felt isolated begin fitting into a larger picture, and what once seemed mysterious starts becoming easier to interpret. And while occasional changes are normal, understanding these patterns may matter more than many people realize. By now, it may be easier to see why these patterns deserve attention, not because they automatically signal a serious problem, and not because every restless night carries the same meaning. The real reason is that sleep plays a central role in many aspects of daily life. What happens overnight rarely stays confined to the overnight hours. Its effects often follow us into the next day and beyond.
When the body experiences restorative sleep, people often notice it without thinking about it. Their minds feel clearer, their energy feels steadier. Simple decisions require less effort. Daily activities seem easier to manage. Many of these benefits are so subtle that they are only noticed when they begin to fade. That is why small overnight changes can become meaningful over time. Memory is one area that may be influenced by the quality of overnight recovery. Many adults over 60 occasionally experience moments of forgetfulness. That alone is not unusual, but the brain depends on sleep to support important restorative processes. When sleep quality fluctuates, mental sharpness can sometimes feel different from one day to the next. The connection may not always be obvious, but it is worth noticing. The same principle applies to focus, mood, and overall well-being. A person who wakes feeling refreshed often approaches the day differently than someone who wakes feeling depleted. Small differences can accumulate over weeks, months, and years. Again, this does not mean every difficult morning points to a larger issue. It simply highlights why paying attention to recurring patterns can be valuable. Awareness creates opportunities to make informed choices rather than relying on guesswork. Perhaps the most hopeful part of all is that noticing patterns does not require perfection. It does not require becoming obsessed with every symptom. It simply means becoming more aware of what the body may be communicating over time. Small observations can lead to meaningful understanding, and meaningful understanding often begins long before major concerns ever appear. The encouraging part is that support often begins with simple, manageable actions. At this stage, the focus shifts from understanding patterns to gently supporting the body in practical ways. This is not about making dramatic changes overnight. It is about introducing small, consistent habits that help the body maintain steadier rhythms. Many people are surprised to learn that simplicity often matters more than intensity. When the approach is realistic, it becomes easier to maintain over time, and consistency is where meaningful awareness begins to develop. One of the most helpful starting points is paying attention to evening routines. This includes noticing what tends to happen in the hours before sleep. Some evenings are calm and structured. Others may feel rushed or inconsistent. These differences can influence how the body transitions into rest. Over time, these patterns may become more noticeable than expected. Another important factor is maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at similar times helps the body establish a rhythm. When that rhythm becomes irregular, the overnight experience can feel less predictable. Even small shifts in timing can sometimes influence how refreshed a person feels in the morning. Stability often provides a clearer baseline for understanding personal patterns, and that baseline makes changes easier to recognize. Being mindful of late-night eating habits is also part of this supportive framework. The timing and composition of evening meals can influence how the body responds overnight. Some people notice differences in how they feel the next morning, depending on these choices. This does not require strict rules or restriction. It simply involves observation and awareness of what seems to work best individually. Noticing these details can help reveal subtle connections over time. Finally, tracking recurring morning experiences can provide valuable insight. How a person feels upon waking can become an important reference point. Energy levels, mental clarity, and overall comfort may vary from day to day. Writing down or mentally noting these patterns can help reveal trends that would otherwise go unnoticed. Over time, these small observations begin to form a clearer picture. Small observations performed consistently can be surprisingly valuable. And perhaps the most reassuring part is what these signals may actually mean. At this point, it becomes important to step back and see the bigger picture. These signals are not meant to create fear or uncertainty. They are often subtle reminders that the body is constantly communicating in small ways. And many of these signals appear long before anything becomes obvious. The key is not urgency, but awareness. When awareness increases, confusion naturally begins to decrease. Experiencing changes in sleep, energy, or morning clarity does not automatically indicate something is wrong. These variations can be part of normal life, especially as routines, stress levels, and daily habits shift over time. What matters more is recognizing patterns rather than reacting to isolated moments. A single restless night carries little meaning on its own, but repeated experiences can offer useful insight. And insight is where understanding begins to grow. When people begin to observe these signals without judgment, something important often happens. The body feels less like a mystery and more like a system that can be understood over time. This shift creates space for calm observation instead of concern. It allows individuals to respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally, and it helps transform uncertainty into clarity. That clarity often becomes the foundation for better daily decisions. The encouraging truth is that awareness itself is a form of support, not because it fixes anything immediately, but because it helps people notice changes earlier than they otherwise might. Early awareness opens the door to more informed choices, and informed choices naturally lead to greater confidence in everyday life. Over time, this creates a sense of stability that many people are looking for without realizing it. And perhaps the most meaningful realization is this: the body often speaks in patterns long before it speaks in problems. These patterns are not warnings to fear. They are opportunities to understand yourself more deeply. The more you notice, the more connected the picture becomes, and your body may notice things earlier than you think.